simple, really. It's
Yeah.
simple, really. If you take the human being, like a soya bean, you know, if you take the human soya bean and put it over here and say, well, we're not animals, then you have a dichotomy and you'll go into a whole syntax which is completely demented. But if you
Mhm.
take the human being and put it in with other animals and you make this condition, yeah, we are an animal, but we are an exceptional animal. So then it begs the question, well, what is exceptional about us? And
Mm.
when we understand that, we're on the right track.
Mm. And I think so. Maybe that's a good segue to talk about the exceptional parts, which would be just like two things. Considering so that our mind is what is exceptional about us, if I'm correct in terms of being a human animal and what distinguishes us from other animals. And two of the most fascinating concepts that you introduced me to, one being rigpa and the other one being epinoia. And
Right.
maybe you could explain them.
You were right on it. There are three key factors that distinguish the human animal from other animals, make us exceptional but not superior. Because other animals, from whales to monarch butterflies to pythons, are superior to us in many ways. You know, we're not superior. There are three factors. One is rigpa, which is reason and the ability to observe the functions of your own mind and know how your mind works. The second one is epinoia, the power of imagination. And the third one is the father factor, selete, intention, the intention of the sovereign animal. You know? So the dog here, the dog that I love, when she goes out in the day, you know, she has her intention, she has her instinct, she has her intelligence, which is in many ways more brilliant than mine. She can see, smell, touch, taste things that I don't know, but she doesn't have reason, she doesn't have imagination, and she doesn't have that intentionality. Felite means intentionality. She doesn't have that ability to she doesn't get up in the morning and say, this is what I'm going to accomplish today. But that's what we do. It's
Mm.
as simple as that. If you get those ABC, you've got the whole picture.
Mm.
Rigpa, epinoia, and
So,
selite.
so rigpa is, or yeah, as far as I understand, rigpa or the human mind, it's um, like the human mind is a sort of it's a receiver of a signal, and rigpa is the ability to point our direction or point our attention in a particular direction on a radio,
Mm-hmm.
signal in order to get a particular signal. Is that correct?
Rigpa is what directs your attention to whatever your mind is doing.
Hmm.
That's all it is. It's that inherent function in the mind which directs the mind. And it works in two ways. It can work on its own. That happens when you're just going through your day and something comes to your mind that you didn't intentionally invite, right? Well, why does that happen? How do you observe when that happens? How come you're suddenly thinking about something and you didn't like sit down and say, I'm going to sit down and think about this, right? So
Hmm.
one function of rigpa is that it works on its own. And the other function is that you can seize rigpa and you can use it. So you can say, okay, I'm going to spend, like me, I'm going to spend the next 2 hours after I talk to you working on a unit in Nemetha. So I have voluntarily, I've deliberately taken control of rigpa. When you know, when you can see and observe, and it's obvious, there's no metaphysics involved whatsoever, but you can observe that your own mind works in that way, then you are on the path to mastery of rigpa, which I call applied noetics, which is dog zen. Okay? And just give you a little anecdote. A while back, quite a while back, some documentary filmmaker contacted me, and it was like he kind of said, "Well, I'd like to do an interview with you, or about your work." And he was talking about not in his image and Gnosticism and all that. And this was 2 years ago or more. And I said, "Well, it's wonderful that has interested in me. I wouldn't mind if somebody was interested in me at all. But you're interested in work that I've done before, but I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to talk about Gnosticism, and I want to talk about what it is now going forward." And he didn't want to talk about that. You know? So that never happened. And that's what I want to talk to you about in your generation. Applied noetics is the cat's pajamas, man. If you
Mm,
have applied noetics, this is what I would say to a young person. Well, what do you think about in the course of a day? Certain things come to your mind, and then you put your mind on certain things. Those are two different things. What do you put your mind on? What do you apply your thinking to? And then I would say, well, I know what it's like to be young. I know what it's like to be in my 20s. And I applied my mind to many things. I was curious. I wanted to investigate many things. I thought about many things, but I didn't know how thinking worked.
mm,
I used the tool of thinking, but I actually didn't know how the tool worked. So unless you know how a tool works, you can't use it to its highest capacity.
mm.
That's what I teach in applied noetics. And it's simple. Dog Zen is really simple. And that's one of the things that is for me, that's current for me. It's like I want to be current with who's current. Everything that I've done before, all the work I've produced, talks, writings, before December 19th, 2025, great. Go and look at it. If it benefits you, fine. But that's not what I don't want to go there. I want to go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree. If anyone wants to know about the FGS, the Fallen Goddess scenario, there are lots of videos that they can go and watch
Yeah,
and and find it out.
yeah,
But this idea of being able to hone your mind and hone the actual tool, understand and then apply the tools of your mind correctly, for me is extremely important, um, because of my work and stuff like that. I have to spend so much time on the computer, um, and I actively feel like my attention and my faculties being uh, deleted slightly,
eroded
eroded.
and
Yeah.
deleted. I suffer from that too, and I bitch and complain about it like an 80-year-old man. I do. I have to admit, it's
Hmm.
fucking horrible. You need a great deal of resistance and stamina to work in that medium and preserve your mind because it just eats it up.
Hmm.
The intention of the archontic powers, if you can ascribe intention to them, is to replace your mind with their mind.
Yeah, that's always the way it felt. Like kind of they want to almost wear you like a skin suit,
That's right.
and inhabit you from the inside, but from the
That's right.
inside of the recesses of your mind. Yeah. And so is rigpa ever apart from when you're asleep or maybe even in deep meditation, is it ever like just at rest and not
It's a good
uh
question. Very good question. First of all, there are some units I've published, I think they're in the school, about stating that rigpa is, you know, rigpa is your mental instrument. Okay? And it's always operating. It's operating independently without, it's always processing. It's processing conceptual material, conceptual content. It's processing perceptual content and memory, and it's processing imagination. That's what I call the three attentions. There are three gears to rigpa. It's like a gearbox with three gears, the first, second, and the third attention. So there are ways that you can actually do simple things so that you can benefit from what your rigpa does while you're asleep.